Welcome to episode 19 of the Yinzhers podcast. I'm Jordan DeFigio here with my co-hosts Morgan Urtso and Samantha James. Sam, welcome back. It is so good to have you again. Oh my gosh, we miss you.
I'm so excited to be back.
It was so weird to do an episode without you. Like, that's the first time we've ever done an episode without all three of us.
Yeah, I know.
It did not feel right. I'll be honest.
It didn't. It really did.
It felt weird. I had to listen to it afterwards because I was like, oh, they did so good.
It's good to have you back. And it's good to be covering a game. This is our first game that we're covering too. And we won.
And it's
we
a
beat
win.
the Bills. What the hell? Like,
dude,
you guys.
I don't have words. I have words. I have a lot of words, and you're all going to hear my words. But like, let's take a second because how many experts, and I use that term very loosely at this point, said the Bills were going to win. Bills by a billion, as Joey Molinaro says.
Yep. All of them.
Bills by a billion. He was like, everyone told me it was going to be Bills by a billion. What happened? And what did happen, guys? Like, what was that?
there were a lot of things. Yeah. Like,
let's talk about it.
Yeah, there were definitely some notable plays. The very first one being that, my goodness, like 70-some yard return from Isaiah McKenzie on the very first play of the game. So that set the tone, and it immediately put me on edge.
Season's over.
I was having flashbacks to the playoff game last year. I was like, are we really doing this from the jump again? Again, are we letting this happen? Right. Obviously not the same kind of ass backwards play, but like the same emotion is evoked from something like that. So
like losing control of the game from the jump is what it felt like. They just completely handed that over to the Bills, or so it seemed, because the defense held them to 3 points down in the like they were close. Like,
dude, they were within 20 yards. They were inside
in the red zone.
20 yards in the red zone, and they went 3 and out. And you don't expect that from an offense that is as prolific as the Bills offense, or at least as they have been over the past season.
Right.
So we go into Buffalo, into enemy territory. We're in the red zone within the first 20 seconds of the game. And it's like, this defense held them to 3 and out. I was psyched from that point on.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Hayward
set the tone for sure.
Cam Hayward in that first defensive showing, the first time on their field, lights out per usual. Trey Norwood, can we talk about the rookie Norwood?
He looked
Not
really
only good. The entire game he looked good, but in that first series from Buffalo, he was always right near the ball. Like always.
And the way it's impacted Minka, the way Minka played today, because Trey Norwood's on the field, it's like, oh my God, it's night and day. And like Minka was already an incredible player, and now he's even better than he was.
Yeah, because it freed him up to actually like make plays instead of having to be everywhere at one time, because he was the only guy that was out there that could really hold his own. And that's awesome to have.
It really is like he's acting like the Ryan Clark to Troy Polamalu. Like he really was freeing Minka up, like Jordan said, to just kind of go all over and do whatever Minka is our Troy of this era, and I'm not naming him Troy Polamalu, but like he's the closest thing we have to Troy right now. And his vision for these plays, it really just having Trey Norwood out there today really allowed Minka to just go after the things that he saw coming. So that was
the star that he is.
That was
talk about our MVP of the game. I think we all can agree that it was
absolutely
Cam Sutton. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Like played lights out. If you had any doubts about Cam Sutton, they should be gone. And if they're not,
proven wrong. Yep.
Don't at me.
There was one play, that touchdown. One play where I wish Sutton had done something that he didn't do. Every other time I watched Cam Sutton on that field, he was making a heads up, like big play. whether it was in the slot or outside. And this is what we talked about preseason. He can play both. And we were wondering with Pierre in there what was necessarily going to happen, where they were going to play Sutton. I mean, he effectively shut down Stephon Diggs today.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because people were like, that's who's going to be on Stephon Diggs. That's who's going to be covering him. And it's like, well, did anyone see Stephon Diggs on the field today being productive? Because I did not.
He wasn't. He wasn't very productive. Cole Beasley had a drop early on in the game. He the Steelers defense, and it was across the board too, because we saw that very early on play where they gave up a huge return on special teams, but then Miles Killebrew with that blocked punt. And then Ulysses Grant was the one who had played the heads up play to scoop it and take it into the end zone. Firing on all cylinders on defense, which is what I think in the past we've been missing, because we've had to rely on guys like Ryan Shazier to carry the defense, rely on guys like Minka and TJ to carry the defense in that area of the field. But now we have guys like Cam Sutton and Trey Norwood, and then guys stepping up on special teams like Miles Killebrew and UG3. Like, it was so encouraging to see guys across the spectrum of experience and level of ability really making plays like that. Oh my gosh.
Dude, and I will be the first to say I was less than enthusiastic about UG3 making this roster. And today he shut me up, and I'm sure he shut a lot of people up, because I saw all over the timeline people were not happy about that. About him making the roster over Roche. But, today he justified that. That was phenomenal. I was so psyched, jumped from a seated position onto my feet on my couch. I watched
it with my nieces and nephew, which was really hard because I have to try really hard not to cuss during the game, which is a chore on its own. And so my nephew now calls everybody on the team Juju. Anytime someone in black and gold has the football, it's Juju, Juju, Juju. That's the only player he knows. It's the cutest thing. But it's the cutest thing. And watch with my niece and nephew, I'm like, you guys are the next generation. You have to get into this early. You have to understand. But oh my gosh, so much fun.
It was a good game.
Everything, I keep thinking about all these big plays, TJ forcing that fumble. And Cam recovering. Come on. We didn't pay TJ Watt enough. I'm going to say it now. We didn't pay that man enough.
That was steal.
He was fired up this entire game. And that's a guy who you look at and you're like, okay, we were giving you 80 million guaranteed. And hopefully that doesn't slow you down. And then you see him today and you're like, all right, I'm not worried about you. Not that I was ever worried about TJ, but he went out there and said, I got paid. So what? I'm still going to be me.
And he wants a Super Bowl. He wants a Super Bowl. And he showed that today. Alex Highsmith today too. I saw him in one play where he was in a chokehold around his neck. He broke out of it and still almost got the sack. And I was like, oh my God. You would have killed that man had you not been in a chokehold. Just everyone playing out of their minds today. It was
even Melvin Ingram. Can we please talk about the amount of holding that the Buffalo Bills offensive line was doing throughout? I was shocked when they called that initial one on Melvin Ingram, but then it was the refs turned away and stopped paying attention to it after that. And it's what the?
Well, let's talk about the fact that they did draw 7 holding penalties today. The Bills' offense drew 7 holding penalties.
Yeah.
Am I right about that? Is it 7?
They had a lot.
I didn't keep track, but it was quite a few, and that
I'm pretty sure
all of them.
We drew 5, they drew 7, and that's my point, Jordan. They didn't even call half of them. I mean, let's not gloss over the fact that once again, the NFL officiating is allowing people to just free for all hold TJ Watt. We can ignore that for a second, but the chokehold on Cam Hayward, I was who do you think you are? And they actually did call that. I was surprised by the amount of holding calls today.
Something it wasn't even just like holding by the jersey. They were literal choke
tackling
to
the ground.
So bad. And it was like
blatant.
The first quarter, especially first and second quarter, were probably the worst. But it was hard to watch.
If we want to talk about first and second quarter, let's also talk about how horrific the offense looked in the first and second quarter. And then what the hell did Mike Tomlin do in that locker room? The adjustments that team made coming out in the third quarter were phenomenal. I mean, I haven't seen them turn something around like that in a long time. And I had myself I was asking myself in that first half, okay, is the defense really as good as they look? Or is Josh Allen doing us a ton of favors by overthrowing his receivers, Cole Beasley dropping stuff? Josh Allen was not on his game that first half.
Right.
He wasn't. He came out the second half and he looked great, monumentally better than he looked the first half. Unfortunately for Josh Allen and the Bills, so did we. So it's like everyone who says Mike Tomlin makes bad decisions, bad calls, can't make adjustments, got shut up today. Period.
Steelers are
and that's
always
what I was looking for.
Half team.
Yeah. Yep.
They always are. We always start out slow. We're not. I don't want to say we're not great at reading the other teams, but we're always a second half team. We always come out stronger on the second half. So, but that first half was definitely scary because I was like, I don't know if they're going to make the necessary adjustments to take control of this game, and they did.
And that was something they struggled with all year last season, was the ability to figure out what they needed to change and then actually changing it. And it all came down to relying on Ben Roethlisberger to just go into the basically like field general mode and just call plays on the fly. And they can't do that anymore. It barely worked for them last year. So going into this game, I just kept feeling like even if they lose, but they can make adjustments at the half, like I'll feel better about this team than I did the team last year. And the fact that they did come out in the second half and they never ran away with the game, but they took control of it and they set the tone for the rest of the third and the fourth quarters. And it was encouraging to see because this felt way better than any of the wins in the second half of last season. Cause it always just felt like we got to the end and we got lucky. Like, thank God. Oh Lord, thank God we didn't lose that one. But this one felt like, we deserved to win that game because we outplayed them. We didn't look fantastic, but we outplayed the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, where even I was saying we're gonna lose.
I saw Steelers players. I saw Steelers fans betting for the Bills to win the game, and I was like, the
entire country agreed that the Bills were most likely going to win that game. I will say, like, you guys know me, I'm super positive. I always think we have a shot. Even I last week with Jordan was like, it's probably going to be a loss. We're probably going to take the L, but it's okay. It doesn't mean that the season's over, you know? I'm almost speechless, and I'm never speechless. Like, I always have something to say. It was just, there were some moments that I looked at my TV and questioned why I ever doubted this team. Like, you looked at some of these, everyone says Ben can't throw deep. I saw Ben throw deep today. Everyone says Ben won't throw over the middle. I saw Ben throw over the middle today. Everyone says we only play out the shotgun. I saw Ben under center today. So, like, as frustrating as the offense was, especially in that first half, we can't say that the Matt Canada offense looks like the Randy Feitner offense.
Right.
Although they were unproductive in the first half, we had -7 yards in the second quarter. That's pathetic. As unproductive as they were in the first half, the adjustment and the adaptation, I mean, we saw a reverse to Chase Claypool that went for 20-something yards. We saw incredible, like, creativity out of this offense. Najee Harris finally ran for 18 in that third quarter. We saw big gains, finally. Big plays. Claypool drew PIs, as he always does, beautifully. There was one that should have been early on, should have been a PI to Claypool, that big pass that Ben like lofted up.
Right.
I was wondering why he lofted it like he did, like why it was so
a lot of
arched.
airtime,
lots of airtime. When you have a receiver like Claypool, like just throw it a little high. Like he's got the height on whoever was. I forget if White was on him or Poyer. I don't remember, but he pushed him down. Should have been a PI. Regardless, I'll get off my soapbox.
I don't think Claypool's gonna get as many PIs as he should either during the season, just because of his size. Refs are.
Can we also for a second just take some time and talk about his sass? Claypool, like the unsportsmanlike conduct.
I was like, he got a punch thrown at him and he got the flag.
That should not have been on him.
What?
I don't know. He was pulling him off the pile, and then the guy turned around and hit him in the face mask, and somehow the ref, right in the middle of all of that, decided that it was Chase's fault. And
I was like, okay, Chase.
At least call it on both of them. Like at that rate, if you're really going to be that nitpicky, then give an unsportsmanlike conduct to both of the guys. But it wasn't Chase.
He's just got such. He honestly plays with fire that I want all of our players. But Mink chose it too. Mink has it too. You see the same energy in both of them. That's probably why they got into it at practice. But it's like the officiating did that all day today. Like you saw it with that Chiefs coach and Ronnie Harrison in the Chiefs-Browns game. Like the Chiefs got penalized for Ronnie Harrison pushing a Chiefs coach. The coach pushed him too. So whatever.
Are we surprised that that's happening with the Browns?
We're not surprised. It's NFL officiating.
Yeah, it just
bad call after bad call.
Juju. Today I want to talk about Juju. His ability to make plays downfield and help other players just extend those plays. He does not get enough credit. People do not give Juju enough credit for that.
No, because they want to see him as a pure receiver. And what the thing is on that 18-yard gain that I mentioned with Najee, the only reason he got that yardage is because Juju threw a block that extended that play 10 additional yards. So what are we talking about here? Like,
so frustrating. I saw someone today saying, "Oh, he's dancing on the field." I'm like, first of all, he's not dancing on the field. Second of all, he's extending plays. I don't know what game you're watching. Please go. Drives me nuts. I'm like,
he also comes up so clutch, like fights for those extra yards. He
He's
never
so
gives
physical.
up at contact. Like he's always going after contact. And that's something that a lot of receivers in the game these days, like they don't care to do. He's just so physical and reliable. And we saw him make a few big plays on the outside today, not just in the slot. So like he's getting that versatility in his game as well that we know he asked for. So that's another thing Matt Canada's adding to this offense. Slowly but surely. I mean, it is a little bit of an adjustment period. We saw the struggles early on in the game today.
Yeah, we have a lot of new moving pieces and a lot of rookies that are actually starting out this year. And so I don't know what everyone else's expectations were as far as like fan-wise, but I'm like, I was really impressed today. We did adjust the way that more than I actually thought we would.
Totally.
Yeah, and
it was the Bills.
And that's what you have to keep in mind is like there were issues. Guys were struggling. Like I felt like Najee never really clicked. And unfortunately, my complaint was kind of like we saw him struggle. We saw the offensive line struggling in that first half. But it felt like once Najee kind of started to get his legs under him, they stopped calling run plays altogether. And it was like,
yes,
you kind of have to give him an opportunity to fail and try again. Like he's young and he needs to figure some stuff out. But I think that the more snaps and the more reps he gets, he will become more comfortable. And I can't imagine what it would be like to go into Buffalo for your first game, as a rookie.
With
first
those
round
fans.
pick. Yeah,
Can
with
we
those
that
utilize
atmosphere.
Derek Watt? Like, can we use Derek Watt in combination
Right.
with Najee
would
Harris?
be
Because
nice.
Right.
We're paying him enough.
what?
And the
Like,
O-line
Juju
is
is
not
blocking
giving
for
him
him.
any. They're not doing
No,
him any favors.
The O-line,
So,
questionable.
and then
still.
when we did stop running as much, we finally decide to call a run play on 2nd and long, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing like?
Yeah.
It's frustrating, and it was very reminiscent. And at that point, I'm pretty sure I checked the timeline, and everyone was like, "Here we go again!" Like more of the same. But the one thing that I will say about Najee is something that Mike Tomlin said a few weeks ago. Like, he will never make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you saw him on that check down from Ben where he didn't get his head around in time, totally missed the pass, and Ben was visibly frustrated with him. Went straight up to him and was sternly speaking to him. And you just know that Najee's not going to make that same mistake again. Right. Tomlin said it. You could see it on his face. And then he came up big in the second half to make up for it.
Yeah. But unfortunately, like you said, the one play where he really did break loose for significant yardage, it was all a result of Juju's blocking, not the offensive line. So we definitely still have some issues there. Chooks,
that was tough to watch.
That was tough to watch.
Yeah,
not great. The whole the whole line was struggling with pass blocking. To be completely honest, they were not giving Ben any time to work with.
That's so reminiscent of last season. He cannot be just throwing the ball to the first receiver he sees. That's how we make interceptions, how we make mistakes.
Right.
He has no time. Again.
Right. I did notice Ben holding onto the ball longer when he was able to, and not just, living in his fears and going for the first receiver he looked at, because he did do, even last year when he did have a little more time, he was still getting the ball out so quickly. He was holding on to it a few times today. And can we talk about that run? Like,
what was that, Ben?
I was like, who are you?
Made my heart flutter. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, I know. Take me back to 2007.
Stop running because you're freaking me out.
Yeah, that too.
I know. And then he got up and he was like kind of hobbling. I was like, God, please no.
Please don't be hurt, Ben.
He got hit on one play and he fell on his right elbow. And I swear to God, my heart fell out of my butt. Like I could not breathe for a good 5 seconds before I saw him like shake it off and he was fine.
Oh, yeah.
Protect Ben at all costs.
All costs.
We need him. We're royally effed without him.
Yeah.
I can't watch Mason for another season. I'm sorry.
Nope. Oh God.
Refuse.
But we don't have to worry about that because Ben's okay.
Yes.
Yeah. There were some pressure points there a little bit throughout the game, but I feel like as long as those things are being exposed earlier on in the season, it gives them more time to adapt and adjust and acknowledge them for what they are and work them out. But overall, I feel like it was the positives far outweighed the negatives. Even just looking at like Pat Freiermuth's first catch, Chris Boswell, the Boz is back.
Automatic.
And beautiful, and so clutch.
And let's talk about the fact that it was so windy in Buffalo today.
Mm-hmm.
It was so windy. It would have been very easy for him to go wide right. That's where the wind was blowing. Boz, I swear to God, I could not be happier. Trey Essex said it earlier today. I could not be happier that the Steelers were able to overlook Boswell's 2018 season where he had a bit of the yips, because we are so lucky to have him.
He's so good.
mean, he's automatic. He does not miss. I mean, in the rare case that he does, like it's not in situations where it's like win or lose. So I'm just like so pumped to see him this year. Presley Harvin, that's another leg I'm really proud of today. He did a great job in his first game.
Oh, love that.
mean,
The
There
rookies.
were bright
Never
spots
thought I'd
on
get so
every-
excited about a punter. Oh my
I
gosh.
know.
no. There were bright spots in every aspect of this game.
Mhm.
I mean, there were dark spots too. Like, let's not pretend that it was all rainbows and butterflies. Obviously, we've talked about the O-line being less than ideal.
Yeah.
So TJ getting held on every play, less
Yeah.
than ideal. But I mean, that's something that he plays through anyway. We're used to it. That's
Yeah.
par for the course at this
He
point.
finds a way around it.
He's used to
Ben
it
was
now.
not perfectly accurate, especially on those short yardage passes. Najee, again, like we talked about, missed some stuff. Chooks, we talked about that.
Yeah.
And just the slow start in general.
Wasn't
Yeah.
great. It wasn't great. I can be dramatic regardless, but whenever I'm phoning in the season after the first play of the game, that I'm like, okay, God Almighty, how many years in a row are we going to do this? Like,
Right.
get it together. But yeah, overall, tons of good stuff from this game, and I think that they have a lot that they can carry with them going into next week for the home opener against the Raiders, who are not a great team. So I think this is probably the ideal situation for them, coming home, playing for a packed stadium. Oh my God, it's going to be incredible. So what are we looking for in this game against Las Vegas on Sunday?
I'm really hoping to see Cam Sutton really prove that this week was not a fluke and that this is who he is. I mean, we saw that beautiful read on that flea flicker to Diggs today. That was just chef's kiss, phenomenal. I could not be more proud of the way he just absolutely decimated everyone he covered today.
Yeah.
Again, with the exception of that one touchdown, he was just lights out. I really, really want to see him do the same thing at home in Pittsburgh next week.
Yeah. Sam, what about you?
I think for me, not that I think it was a fluke, but again, Trey Norwood just opening up Minkah Fitzpatrick. Like, they just working, opposite of each other and just shutting it down.
Dude, especially because, like, I think it was last week, Jordan and I were going on and on about how questionable we felt about the secondary and how we needed the front seven to really come up big, and pray to God they signed TJ because we didn't know what the secondary was going to look like. And today they looked phenomenal.
I mean, all of them. I mean, we lost Bud Dupree. We lost Mike Hilton. Those were big pieces. And
Steven
it's
Nelson.
weird because Steven Nelson, I feel like we were still kind of pretty optimistic even given that. But we haven't seen these pieces all work together. So seeing it today, we were like, wow, like they were much better than I thought they were going to be, especially working together. And as the season goes on, it should just click more and more and more, and you guys are going to be even better. And so I really want to see that repeated next week.
Yeah. I personally really want to see a solid outing from Najee, because I think that Matt Canada's offense is going to be most impactful and effective when we have our run game established. Like all of those jet sweeps and motions are, great, but they're a little bit kitschy if you don't actually have the run game to back it up and people know that it's just there for show. So I think that I really want, I know the offensive line kind of is what it is, especially with Zach Banner out, and it's like fresh faces all up and down the line. So I'm not hoping for like a 100 plus yard game from Najee, but I at least see him have a couple plays where he looks confident, he looks calm and in control of what's going on, and it just kind of establish the run game early on so that it can kind of open up the rest of the field for more creativity. And I think that we're going to get that from Matt Canada because that's just his gift. Like, he's really good at that. And we need to make sure that we're giving him everything that we have to work with so that he can just make magic happen.
I totally agree. I think that if we can get a very two-dimensional offense going, that means getting Najee going. That means getting the offensive line gelling at least marginally. Like, I saw some glimmers today. I saw Trey Turner absolutely pancake a dude.
That play
And
was incredible.
That was awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see more of that. Apparently, allegedly, according to our defense, they're playing with like fire and they're angry and they're looking to go kill somebody. Like, that's, I don't want to see you kill somebody, but I want to see you try to kill somebody. Like, let's go. It's time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
100%.
They've been at the bottom of the dog pile of the league for a very long time, this offensive line. At least what feels like a long time, but I think that they're all really pissed off and they're tired of being
they're so disrespected. Like tomorrow, I guarantee you on Good Morning Football, it's going to be some blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, it's not going to happen again this week. The Steelers got lucky and it's going to, you know.
It's some Mickey Mouse game against.
Exactly.
Because Josh Allen made a few bad passes early on, they're going to say it was a fluke game.
Yep. The Bills lost the game. We didn't win it. That's going to be the angle.
And I definitely I'm not going to front. I 100% was asking myself the same thing.
Yeah.
Does our defense only look good because Josh Allen doesn't look great? But then second half started. Josh Allen's running for first downs. We're barely getting to him. That barely missed tackle from Minkah in the third quarter just tugged at my heartstrings a little bit. There were moments where I thought the Bills, okay, this is where they take off with it. Like, this is where they run with it. We finally saw consistency from them at the end of the second quarter, and they were relatively consistent for the rest of the game. But that's why today was so beautiful, because we did see them become the Bills that we know them to be, with the exception of Stephon Diggs, because again, Cam Sutton just absolutely shut him down today. Right. We saw Josh Allen be mobile. We saw him make big plays, big passes. We saw him use that arm, and we still won. We still shut them down. Like, we did. Juju falling on that onside kick at the end was just
beautiful.
Poetic. It was poetic.
It really was.
Yeah. And not to harp on it too much more, but you always have to ask the counterpoint to the question, do the Steelers look good, or does Josh Allen just look bad?
Right.
Why does he look bad? Is it because he's having an off game, or is it because our defense is in his head, putting pressure on him, causing him to have an off game? Like, he's way too good of a quarterback to just be like putzing around out there, not knowing what's going on, not being able to scramble. I think the defense shut him down in the first half and made it so that he was just not – he didn't really know what to do, because the defense was all over the place. And then he finally made adjustments too going into the second half, but the defense adapted with him and made sure that he never got to a point where he was so locked in that he was going off like he normally does.
Right. And we saw him like in a collapsed pocket so many times today. That pressure that we were putting on him, that TJ, Melvin Ingram, like, can we talk about how huge that signing was?
Oh my gosh, for cheap. Cheap.
And not just a depth piece. Like, that can be rotational. Him, Highsmith, TJ, rotate them so they don't get gassed.
Right.
Like,
or hurt, hopefully.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And this is all done without Stephon Tuitt. Are you kidding me?
I know. I thought about that after the game, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Sam, I didn't even realize he was – I knew it because I knew that he wasn't playing, but like, I didn't even realize his absence until I thought about it after the game, because they were so dominant.
Yeah. It's incredible.
It was something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to discuss, because I don't want us to forget this. When Mike Tomlin decided to kick the field goal on 4th and goal at the 2, what do y'all think about that?
I wanted him to go for it.
I did too, but in the end, I was glad that I was glad that they went for the field goal. after the fact.
I feel like in that instance, you have to take the points.
Yeah.
Your offense has been completely stagnant.
Right.
You have not been able in conversion situations to get the first down.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't been able to rely on your offensive line. You haven't been able to rely on your running back. You know you're not going to quarterback draw Ben.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore. So I think in that instance, you have to take the points.
Mm-hmm.
If Mike Tomlin had gone for it and failed, what would Steelers fans be saying right now?
They'd be calling for his head and his job.
They were calling for his head regardless. And that's what makes it so hard. Steelers Twitter is so, as you guys know,
right. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It really was one of those scenarios. For me, I just was like, I wanted him to go for it to show that he had faith in his offense to make that, 2 yards, 4th and 2, like just go for it. So by him, that to me was like, oh, I don't have faith in my offense, which why would you? Up until that point, we hadn't done anything. But again, I didn't want him living in his fears again, like we were doing last season. So I was like, but you know what? It worked out. So I'm not the coach.
It was very reminiscent of that Browns game.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and we'll never forget that. But I just thought I thought that was the right call. Yeah. And I definitely got into arguments on Twitter about that because people vehemently disagreed with that.
Yeah. Oh,
but if he had failed, like, they would have disagreed with it then. So it's like.
Yeah. And it still felt different than the punting instead of going for it in the Browns game because that was giving up nothing for nothing. Right. You were basically saying like, yeah, we're not gonna score any points here, so might as well not try to get the first down. But this was like, all right, this felt more strategic, more game plan-y. Right. Unlike the Bills who went for it twice on 4th down. Right. That made no sense to me. It just felt so arrogant. I was so pissed off when they did that. Like, are you kidding? You're going to go for it on 4th and long when you're up?
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, I think
it paid off for them. It totally paid off.
Yep.
Totally. Right? And they have Joe Hayden to thank for that.
Yep.
Because that huge stop, in the 4th quarter. I'm sorry. Extend Joe Hayden. I'm going to say it. I know it's the first game of the year. Extend Joe Hayden.
Many good plays this game. Like, I just can't. Like, it makes my heart so happy. Like,
I know.
I could cry thinking about all of them. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. I know.
We're gonna be there next weekend.
Yes, we are. We're gonna be there for the home opener. We're doing the tailgate with Steeler Gang, the terrible tailgate at 8 a.m. Oh my gosh.
We're going to have gear on site, guys.
Yeah, gear, swag. Love it.
Y'all have to come hang out with us. We are so excited to be hosting this tailgate. Like Sam and Jordan said, we're going to have Yinzhers gear there. If you want to rock a bucket hat, we've got those in spades for you. So please come kick it with us. We're so pumped for this game. We're so excited to see some of you guys. And we would love to meet y'all.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Please come have a beer with us. Come kick it with us. And let's beat the Raiders. We're going to beat the Raiders. Oh, my God. We're going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, yep. Lombardi incoming. I can feel it. Yeah. It's going to be fun, though. Seriously, if you're going to be at the game, make sure you come say hi. Even if you're not going to the game, come to the tailgate anyway.
Come hang out.
It's going to be food, beer. Yeah, we'll be there. It's going to be awesome. I think we're all really, really pumped to be back together in person again and watch the Steelers this time. That's going to be great.
Absolutely. And you know what? Next week, my player of the game, I'm calling it right now, it's going to be Deontay. This is going to be Deontay's season. Because listen, he was out there and early on gave us the biggest scare ever.
Yeah. That was terrifying.
Holding his knee. I'm like, can we not do this right now? Yeah. Please? Holding his knee. Yeah, exactly. He's out for a couple plays. James Washington comes in. He's, Jay Wash. That's why you don't trade him. Made a huge play. Deontay comes back in and then shows you guys what all the work he put in the offseason with an incredible grab in the end zone.
Beautiful.
Toe tapping touchdown. I mean, this kid, you put him in a little bit of space. Like, you saw those moves, right? You guys watched him just create yards where there were not yards to be created.
Yeah, he's ready to go off.
He is ready. He is locked and loaded. It's his season. I'm telling you. Next week, Deontay's season.
I hope so.
Take that to the bank. Pick him up in fantasy if he's available.
I think everybody's probably picked him up. And
I told
not everybody, but he's gone in every league is what I mean.
Right. I made Jared draft him, and he was like, you better be right about this. I'm taking him in the 4th round. You better be right about this. Today he's like, thank you.
4th round.
So
That's
much.
A steal. Jeez.
Right.
I agree. This is what I'm saying. People sleep on Deontay because he had a few drops last year.
Yeah, he's going to pick it up. It's going to be good.
I'm not worried.
He's solid. Yeah. He'll have a great game.
It's going to be good. Well, let's wrap this thing up. It's been real as always. Thank you to Steeler Nation for joining us.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Yinzhers and on Instagram at Yinzhers Official.
And don't forget to subscribe so we can kick it with you every single week. We'll see you next Tuesday for another episode of Yinzhers.